All right, here's my Hobie Lynx. Been using it for I don't know how many times now. At least half a dozen times, maybe a dozen times now. And my keel here, you can see it's all scratched up. So I was gonna get a. They make it like a keel tape where you could tape down the center. But then I saw this. And this is who's this by? This is by Bumper Bros. Bumper Bros. So, anyways, they make the specific keel guard for specific models. So basically, I cleaned up both surfaces with alcohol. What you do is after you clean it, take the bumper and kind of move it around, or take the keel guard and move it around where it's supposed to sit, because you're not exactly sure. And when you find that spot, it will actually sort of just kind of fall in place, right? Falls in place and it feels good. There's like no more. You move it, push it around, tap around, see if there's any space. If there is, you can actually hear the two hitting each other, like sort of right here. There's a little bit of a gap right there. Back here too, but I think that's just the way it is. Once you put the sealant on here and then push it down, it should be good. So you're using marine sealant. So right now I'm using a 3M 4200. I was gonna get the 5200, but the 5200 is a permanent attachment. The 4200 is sort of a semi-permanent. It's not really permanent. You could still remove it, but it sticks on pretty tough. And this one you can also use above and below water. Same with the 5200. So depending on, because when they make these things, they have their kayak that they bought or whatever, and they make them mold based on the kayak that they have. But a lot of times when things are made, they're not perfect. So that's why there's a little bit, they don't fit on perfectly. So if that's the case, what you do is you get a hairdryer and warm up this piece here, and it will actually kind of mold into place with the heat. All right, so let's put this on. Oh shoot, no, it's not dirt. So I'm about to say, I was like, I see dirt in there. I just wipe this thing clean with alcohol and everything. So let me put on some of this stuff here. They say to use, or to go only Bumper Bros says to only to use it around the perimeter of this piece here. They say 15 millimeters away. It's just over half an inch. And use a liberal amount. So use a lot of it. Use a lot of it around the edges. So that's what I'm gonna do. Interesting. This thing doesn't have it doesn't have the puncture. Normally the caps have the little puncture to puncture a hole on this, but it doesn't have one. That's interesting. Okay, I guess I could just use my knife here. Hopefully it fits. Yeah, it fits in there. One slit on one side, another slit on the other side. Okay. What the hell? This thing is not spinning on properly. It feels like the thread is not straight. Yeah, the thread's not slightly off. That's interesting. All right, so I'm gonna use a pretty good amount. So I'm gonna cut it probably about maybe right here. Let's be safe and cut it right here. Well, I think that's too small. Let's cut it right here. because my blade is not very sharp. It's a little dull, I think. Yeah, it is. It's a little dull. Normally this thing would cut right real easy. There we go. Okay, so say about 15 millimeters away from the edges. This is a lot. This one is 3 ounces. So let's see how much that does. Wow, this is tight. Dang it. I wonder if it's just because it's cold right now. There's a little air bubble there. Jeez. Wow. It's really tight. Let's see if I could open up that hole a little bigger. Maybe use this tip here to push it in. Open up that hole. Let's see. Oops, I just stripped it. It's a little better. There's air bubbles in it though. That's what those little gaps are. Little air bubbles. Damn, this thing is. It's really really hard to squeeze out. I think it's just. It might be because it's cold. Jesus. Oh, it seems tight. Maybe I should have cut it even closer. Make a bigger hole so it goes out easier. Actually, this hole is as big as the hole down here, so that actually doesn't really, probably won't do anything because it's still the bottleneck on the end right here. Wow, that was hard to squeeze for sure. Release more in the middle. Get this out of the way here. I think that's probably enough. Now you could just do this and just put it on the put it on there, but I'm not gonna do that. What I'm doing is I'm gonna smear this around because I think if you put it on like this, it's gonna be so thick and it's gonna be a lot of air bubbles here. It's gonna be hard for this thing to flatten out, for the sealant to flatten out. Let's see if I could spread it around a little bit. Shit, god dang it. Well, the reason why I want to spread this out is because because it's so close to the edge. I don't want most of it to just squeeze out, right? So I might still have too much on here though, because you want this thing to fit as tightly as possible. That means no gap basically. If you have too much, you might have a gap. And actually have something nice and thin to spread this out. Let me see if I have anything that's thin, like a little spatula of some sort. So I have this thing right here. This is for drywall. So that's the only thing I have that's big and wide and sort of flat. Let's see if this works. Shit. I mean, I think I could just push this on, but I don't want to have all those, like I said, all those air bubbles. See that? That's a lot better. See that? I think that's what I'm talking about right there, like that. See that difference? stuff all over my tip of my fingers now. So this is sort of the other reason why I wanted to use a non-permanent one too. It's a little bit, I think it's a little bit easier to work with, because you could clean it up easier. You can actually clean it up. Oh man. Maybe I should have worn some gloves, some latex gloves or something. Keep my hands from getting so gunked up. The important part here, wow. Important part here is to make sure the front right here gets covered. So I think that's the important part of it. Oh man, let me wipe my hands. Let me find something to wipe my hands real quick. Okay. Yeah, a little bit more. Here. And there. And there. I'm not sure what the working time on this thing is. Lots of time these things have like a working time, meaning, you know, there's only so amount of time you could be working on it and before it sets or cures or whatever. Oh wow, look at that, it's all gunked up on the backside. All right, oh well, yeah, that's another reason why I decided to use the non-permanent one. All right, so I already marked my my thing with their marker, right? So I know where it is, because once you have all this gunk on here, it's hard to move it around and tell where you're at. I'm pushing from the middle. I'm pushing from the middle and the middle out, just in case there's any air bubbles. So I'm gonna push the air bubbles out, right? Shit. Let's move the thing a little bit. So if you do it right, there should be a little bit of sealant that will come out. So that means you did a pretty good part in getting it so that way it's sealed all the way around the edges. Otherwise, there could be air bubbles and such. So yeah, so I think I'm pretty good. It's like all the edges are. I see sealant coming out. Okay, I'm good there. Take the stuff here and wipe up as much of the stuff as I can. Shit. I should get a paper towel or something, this rag. I don't know where I've wiped this rag. And what part of the rag I've wiped it and what part I haven't. Shit. It's crap all over the place, damn it. Just getting stuff all over the place. Let me get something else. Maybe a paper towel or something. So no one could, let me see if I can find edges. Just obviously you could wipe it off. Alright, so obviously you could wipe it off. But it's like wear on this. And the cue card is kind of hard to wipe because it's not smooth. You know, it has this little, it has texture to it, so it's stuff's going into the texture. I think that's good enough for that side. So get this side. It's a little better to wipe a little bit at a time, a little section at a time, and go over that section like 3-4 times. That way it doesn't build up, because if you keep on going, it just builds up and it smears everywhere. Let's see. So I think this thing takes like 24 hours. Well, I think the instructions on the not the sealant, but the bumper guard here says to wait 24 hours. Okay. Oh man, that's a lot of crap. Still have crap all over my hands. That's all right. And the other thing it says to use is get some tape and tape it down, so that way it doesn't stays better and doesn't hopefully it doesn't shift or move on you. I don't think it will because I covered every inch of this thing. And when you do that and you push it down, what happens is it actually kind of creates a vacuum because there's no air bubbles, so it creates a vacuum. So it doesn't really want to move. But just for posterity, I'm gonna put the tape down anyways. All right, I'm gonna call that good, and I'll wait until tomorrow, and hopefully it cures and everything's good. And there's no lifting. I don't think it would be any lifting. If there would be any, I think the tape will help hold everything down. All right, so that's it.